Your greatest power is your willingness to step off the stage. Now, that might sound a little cryptic, right? But just think for a second about a conflict in your life. One that just seems to have no end. You know the one. That draining, circular argument, maybe at work, maybe at home, that just keeps repeating no matter what you do. Well, what if I told you there's a hidden engine driving these conflicts? A psychological blueprint for drama that most of us are following without even realizing it. See, today, we are not just talking about arguments. We are deconstructing the hidden system that powers them. We're going to pull back the curtain on something called the power triangle. And by the end of this, you won't just understand it, you'll know exactly how to dismantle it.
This isn't just some clever phrase, it's a strategic directive. Because what most of us fail to realize is that in almost every dysfunctional conflict, we are performing a role on an invisible stage. We're acting out a script we didn't even know we were handed. I mean, think about it. The argument isn't really about who's supposed to take out the trash or who missed a deadline on a report. No. It's about the roles you've both fallen into. One person feeling perpetually let down, the other feeling constantly criticized. That is the drama. And the actual facts of the situation, they become irrelevant. And here's the key insight. The problem isn't the problem itself. The problem is the drama. And today, we're going to show you the emergency exit.
Okay, so let's get into it. Here's our strategic roadmap. First up, we'll expose the invisible stage to see where this all goes down. Then, we're going to get our hands dirty and inspect the triangle's engine to understand exactly how it works. We'll uncover the psychological payoff, because to beat this game, you have to know why it's so compelling in the first place. After that, we'll arm you with the Disengagement Protocol, your step-by-step escape plan. And finally, we'll rebuild with the Winner's Triangle and show you a new, much more powerful way to engage.
So let's set the scene. The invisible stage. This is where good intentions go to die. It's where a simple disagreement somehow spirals into this complex, draining battle that leaves everybody feeling misunderstood and completely exhausted. This isn't about healthy conflict, where you debate ideas and find a resolution. No, this is about a very specific pattern of interaction that feels like a trap, because psychologically, it is one. It's a closed loop designed unconsciously, not to solve a problem, but to keep you stuck right where you are.
You know this feeling. I know you do. It's that sense of just being completely depleted after a conversation that went absolutely nowhere. It's that deep frustration of trying to solve a problem for someone only to have them shoot down every single solution you offer. It's that dizzying confusion when you, trying to be the hero, suddenly find yourself being cast as the villain. This is the exhaustion loop. It is a key symptom that you are on the triangle. And the reason you're so tired, it's because you're spending all your energy playing a role, not actually solving a problem. You are running on a hamster wheel of drama, and the only thing it powers is more drama. So, the crucial question is, why? Why does this happen? We usually assume it's because the problem is just too difficult, or maybe the other person is just being unreasonable. But here is the first major mental shift we have to make. We get so caught up in the content of the argument, the he said, she said, all the little details, the facts, that we completely miss the real culprit, the structure of the interaction itself. These conflicts aren't designed to be solved. They are engineered unconsciously to be sustained because they're feeding a deeper, hidden psychological need for everyone involved.
And this brings us right to the core paradox of the whole thing, the rescuer trap. This is where your best intentions actually become the fuel for the fire. Think about a friend who's constantly complaining about their job but rejects every single piece of advice you offer. You say, hey, why don't you update your resume? You should try networking. Have you talked to your boss? And for every single thing, they have a reason why it'll never work. See, by continuously offering solutions, you're not empowering them, you're actually reinforcing their narrative of helplessness. You think you're helping, but you're really just validating their powerlessness. You've fallen into the rescuer trap. You think you're the firefighter, but you're actually the one holding the gasoline can.
So if trying to help is part of the trap, then how does this infernal machine actually work? Let's move from the feeling of being trapped to the schematic of the trap itself. It's time to pop the hood on the triangle's engine and look at its parts with some clinical precision. This is where we stop being actors in the drama and start being analysts of the system.
All right, this system, first identified by psychiatrist Stephen Cartman, is called the drama triangle, and it runs on three predictable interdependent roles: the victim, the persecutor, and the rescuer. Now, these aren't standalone characters, they're a package deal. You really can't have a victim without a rescuer or a persecutor, and vice versa. They are locked in this dysfunctional dance, and each one needs the other two just to justify their own position. Understanding these roles is the first step to refusing the invitation to dance.
Let's start with the role that really ignites the whole system, the victim.
Now, to be clear, this isn't about someone who has been legitimately wronged. In the triangle, the victim's stance is always, "poor me." Their perceived helplessness is actually their source of power. By broadcasting their inability to solve their own problems, they're essentially controlling the emotional thermostat of the room. This is what we call emotional gatekeeping. They create a problem that other people feel an obligation to solve, forcing them to engage on the victim's terms. It's a subtle but incredibly powerful way to seize control of a dynamic by pretending you have none.
Now, in response to the victim's signal, in rushes the rescuer. The rescuer's mantra is, "Let me help you." But their motivation? It's not pure altruism. They're driven by a deep need to feel needed, to get a sense of value and self-worth by fixing other people. They focus on the victim's problems so they can avoid their own. And here's the crucial point. The rescuer doesn't actually want the victim to get better, because if the victim finds their own power, the rescuer loses their job. Their whole identity is tied to being the hero. So unconsciously, they will often sabotage real solutions just to keep the victim dependent and to maintain their own sense of purpose.
And finally, we have the persecutor. The persecutor's line is, "It's all your fault." They're critical, blaming, controlling. By pointing fingers, the persecutor gets to feel superior and in control, deflecting from their own insecurities by pointing out everybody else's flaws. They provide the villain of the story, which reinforces the victim's narrative of helplessness and gives the rescuer a righteous cause to fight for. See how they all need each other? It's a perfectly balanced, yet perfectly dysfunctional system.
Okay, now here's where it gets really dizzying, and this is the core of the engine. These roles are not fixed. People switch between them constantly, often in the span of a single conversation. So for example, a rescuer tries to help, but when their solutions are rejected, they get frustrated and switch to the persecutor role, saying something like, "You never listen to my advice." Then, feeling attacked, the original victim might lash out, suddenly becoming a persecutor themselves, saying, "You never really wanted to help me anyway." This rapid role switching is what creates that chaotic, exhausting energy of the conflict. It's a constant churn designed to sustain emotional energy, preventing anyone from ever finding stable ground for a real solution.
And this is the fundamental dysfunction. This is where the trap closes. The system isn't actually about solving an external problem at all. It's a closed emotional economy. It's a transactional game where the currency is attention, validation, and blame. The players are just trading these things back and forth to manage their own feelings. And the trap snaps shut the moment the psychological payoff for playing the game becomes more important than actually winning it.
So we've mapped the machine, we've identified the parts, but that begs the most important question of all. Why on earth do we willingly climb inside this thing? I mean, if it's so destructive, why do we keep playing? Well, the answer lies in the powerful psychological rewards, the payoffs that make this drama as addictive as any drug. Each one of these roles acts as what we can call an identity shield. They protect us from the difficult, sometimes scary work of true accountability. Just look at the contrast here. Accountability requires ownership of our part in a problem, but playing the victim, that lets you completely avoid responsibility. Real self-worth comes from the slow, hard work of long-term growth. Playing the rescuer offers a cheap, instant hit of feeling important, and true accountability is mentally demanding. Playing a role, on the other hand, is emotionally easy, at least in the short term. It's a psychological shortcut that feels safe, even as it's leading you deeper and deeper into the trap.
And what really cements this addiction is a powerful psychological principle called intermittent reinforcement. The best way to think about it is like a slot machine. You don't get a reward every time you pull the lever, right? But you get one just often enough to keep you pulling it, convinced the next one is the jackpot. The drama triangle is the ultimate human slot machine. You don't always get that emotional payoff. Sometimes you try to rescue and you just get attacked. But then, just when you're about to walk away, the roles switch, you get that rush of validation or righteousness, and you're hooked all over again. That unpredictability is precisely what makes it so hard to quit.
And specifically for the person who defaults to that rescuer role, the trap has extra locks on it. There's something called the sunk cost fallacy, which is that little voice in your head that says, well, I've already invested so much time and energy trying to fix this, I can't just give up now. Then there's reciprocity pressure, a feeling of obligation. They've been my friend for so long, I have to help them. These cognitive biases act like chains, anchoring the rescuer to the drama, making it feel not just helpful, but absolutely necessary to stay engaged.
Okay, we've diagnosed the illness, we've analyzed the mechanics, we understand the addiction. So now we shift from diagnosis to prescription. from analysis to action. This is the strategic counterplay. This is how you find the exit door and walk right through it. We call it the Disengagement Protocol.
The first and most critical step isn't a word or an action, it's an internal recognition. You have to learn to spot the bait. The moment you're being invited into the triangle, your body will tell you before your brain does. It's that sudden, sharp feeling of anxiety when a coworker starts complaining to you. A surge of unearned guilt when a family member sighs dramatically across the room. A wave of hot self-righteousness when you see someone making a mistake you could easily fix. That feeling is the hook. It's the universe handing you a script and asking you to play a part. Your first and most powerful move is simply to notice it, acknowledge it, and then choose not to act.
So once you've recognized the hook, the protocol itself is a deliberate three-step process. Step 1, refuse the role. This is a conscious internal decision. You will not play the hero. You will not be the villain. You will not be the damsel in distress. You just decline the part. Step 2, refuse the payoff. Now this one's harder. It means you have to consciously let go of that delicious, fleeting feeling of being needed or being right or being blameless. You have to be willing to feel a little uncomfortable in the short term to gain stability in the long term. And step 3, reframe the problem. This is the masterstroke. You surgically shift the focus of the conversation away from emotional drama and toward neutral, objective accountability.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, someone comes to you with that poor me story, inviting you to be their rescuer. Instead of jumping in with solutions, you deploy a boundary script, a simple, calm phrase like, "That sounds like a challenge. What do you think you're going to do about it?" Now, this is incredibly powerful. Let's break down why. That sounds like a challenge validates their feeling without validating their helplessness. What do you think you're going to do about it gently but firmly hands the power and responsibility right back to them. You are communicating, "I respect you enough to believe you can handle this." You are refusing to be a rescuer and you're inviting them to be a problem solver.
Okay, but what if things are already heated? The drama is escalating, emotions are high. That's when you deploy a time barrier. You say something neutral and firm like, "I can see this is emotional right now. I'm going to step away from this conversation, and we can revisit it when we can both discuss the facts calmly." Now, crucially, this is not a punishment or a power move. It is a strategic decision to deny the drama its fuel, which is high emotion and an audience. The feedback loop requires your emotional energy to run. By calmly and respectfully stepping away, you are unplugging the machine.
Disengaging from the drama is the critical defensive maneuver. It stops the bleeding, but there is also an offensive strategy, a way to build something better in its place. Let's move to our final section and see how to transform the very foundation of the interaction. This is about moving from the drama triangle to what's known as the winner's triangle.
And this right here shows the strategic upgrade. This is the moment control shifts from the drama back to you and toward a productive outcome. On the left, we've got the dysfunctional roles. On the right, their empowered counterparts. So the victim, who feels helpless, transforms into the creator, someone who is outcome-oriented and focuses on what they can do, not what has been done to them. The rescuer, who enables helplessness, evolves into a coach, someone who stops giving answers and starts asking powerful questions, empowering others to find their own solutions. And the persecutor, who just assigns blame, becomes a challenger, someone who still holds people to high standards, but does it to spur growth, not to inflict shame. This isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about transforming destructive drama into constructive growth.
So here is the core principle to take away. The drama triangle runs on emotional volatility. It's a chaotic storm where no one is truly in control. They're all just reacting. True power, real strength, it doesn't come from winning the argument or being the hero. It comes from emotional stability. It comes from your ability to be the calm center while the storm rages around you. When you refuse to be pulled into the chaos, you reclaim your agency. Volatility is vulnerability. Stability is strength.
And so we end exactly where we began, but now with a completely new understanding. The drama needs actors. Without your participation, there is no show. By understanding the roles, refusing the script, and choosing the path of accountability over drama, you are no longer a puppet in someone else's play. You are the director of your own response. You have stepped off the stage. And that is where your true power lies.